I have always known, probably since second grade, that I was going to be a teacher. Just the joy of getting to see people learn something. You can see that light bulb come on in the middle of class. 3 days later, they come back to you and, Miss Nelson, I have this now. And just that joy of helping the students learn something. And then I do a lot to follow up with my kids and find out how they're doing. I go to all of the South High basketball and football games where my kids go. And so I get to see their accomplishments when they're in high school and know that what I did made a difference.
Teaching, I'd probably have to say it's in my blood. I come from a long line of teachers. My granddad was a superintendent, my grandma Joni was a teacher, my mom and her two sisters, they're all teachers. And so I feel a knack for that. I've loved going into my mom's classroom and reading to her fifth graders, found out quickly that fifth grade or elementary was not where I wanted to teach. But I've just fell in love with my profession. I enjoy talking with my students. I love being goofy and enthusiastic with them and coming up with new ideas to help them and to motivate them and to help them learn. Probably the biggest success is building those relationships with those students and having them text you or call you a couple years after you've had them in class and say, I remember when you made me do this one assignment and it's really helped out in college. So those connections, I think, have just made it why I want to be a teacher, those connections and relationships.
Well, I think having had the opportunity to be in the business world prior to teaching, I think it's given me an opportunity to see that there's more that takes place outside in the community. So I think I approach it in a different way. But I think also just being a parent has helped me grow to be a better teacher as well and be able to understand kind of the needs and wants, because when you have your own kids, lots of times you can put your child's face on those kids who are struggling and you think, what is the one thing that I could do what would I want that teacher to do for my own child? And I tend to then do that for those kids. I think if this kid is struggling, what is it that I can really do that would help make them make that next step and be successful? And when you do those kinds of things, I think that's what is really powerful, and you find the way to connect in a way that otherwise you might not.
Well, we're shaping young minds, and that's quite a reinforcement for a teacher. Again, seeing the children out later on in the future and what they've become and what they've done with their life. I've seen kids at restaurants that their middle school years were hard, and because of certain programs like AVID, they were moving on and in high school and ready to take that next step in college. That is always such a joy to know that former students have gone on with their lives and done great things.
You know, I always think about what lasts, and the reality is, I'd like to think that my kids are going to remember everything that I teach them, but they're not. But they're going to remember kind of relationships that we've had.
My greatest success in teaching is running into my former students in the community, sometimes out other places, and they run to me. They want to come over and talk to me, and the first thing they say to me is, I'm in college, I graduated, I've done this with my life, because that's something that I preach all the time, is higher learning. And it's just real exciting to see students come back and let me know what they're doing with their lives.
I think the best thing for me is seeing them in their future and seeing them grown up, and how many of these kids want me to come to their graduation. I have a kid that goes to North High this year it's not the school that my kids go to, but he has been here several times this year making sure that I'm going to be at graduation for him, because he knows that I cared for him, that I took care of him while he was here, and that I want him to succeed. He wants me to see that in him, that he's going to finish school, and he's very proud of himself, and I'm extremely proud of him too.
Connect with kids. One of the things that you get to do as a teacher is build a relationship that goes beyond your regular family that you have and friends that you have outside of school, and so having that family unit that you have and that you create in your classroom is probably the one thing that I like the most, and having those kids come back year after year and remember things and tell you things that they really appreciate. I was just talking to my kids the other day. I got a letter from one of my former students that said, you may not remember me, but I was the little kid that so-and-so, and now I'm going to college to be a firefighter. I wanted to let you know what a great job you did and how much you got me excited about teaching. And so those are the kinds of things, being able to create those relationships with those kids. I think that's probably the best thing about teaching, is having that relationship.